Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm so happy to be here. I'm really, really happy. I know I surprised a lot of you. You were thinking it was going to be, you're like, wait, it's not Tuesday. It is not Tuesday. It is Monday. Hold 1 second. It's Monday, but I'm going to be flying on Monday, and I really wanted to come live and be with you guys. So don't worry about my hair. If anybody's concerned about it, wondering why I would show up like this, I think we're just not supposed to give a shit anymore. Don't give a shit. Just show up. It's time to just show up, right? Just show the freak up in life right now. All right. Welcome everybody for another episode of Untangled. This is episode 32, which I love. It's the first episode of 2023. 32 is inverted. So it's a powerful a time right now. 23 is my number, so I'm really happy that we're in the year of 23. It's great to be with you guys, and thank you. This is usually on Tuesdays, and I'm doing it today on Monday because I'm flying tomorrow. I am in Oahu right now. I've been in Oahu since the 21st. I've been unplugging, and I am going to stay around for a little bit longer, go to a different island, and take some time to integrate and plot my new year. How are you guys doing? How are you, everybody, doing? How are you guys feeling? Fantastic. Good. Amazing. I've got some information. I've shared a little bit about 2023. I really haven't gone too deep into it, just because I've been doing my own internal work and just been exhausted. The energy is empty and flat. Interesting. Feeling like a phoenix. Hi, South Africa. I feel great after 2 years of shadow work. Woohoo! 2023 is going to be a year where there's going to be such very, very different experiences. Well, let me just start. Welcome to Untangled. Untangled is a series that I do on YouTube every Tuesday at 9 a.m. California time. And the reason that I do these weekly videos live is because I want to make the uncomfortable very freaking comfortable. And I want to dissect and talk about everything that we're going through this evolutionary shift in our consciousness. What does it look like? What does it not look like? What does it feel like? What does it not feel like? Am I crazy? Am I not crazy? And just making all of it very normal, very basic. This is just what we're doing. We forgot what we're doing here on the planet. We forgot what we agreed to. We forgot what we already knew before we incarnated. And so we land on the planet and we go through all this trauma. We go through all of this programming. We go through all this mind control, only to wake back up out of it and say, what the fuck? Wait a second. You get rattled into what this human experience is truly all about. And it's different for everybody, right? But at the end of the day, the foundational framework for all humans is that every human is here to experience this evolutionary shift. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in the human body. So it's just a matter of, why did you decide to experience this evolutionary shift in consciousness? Why? Why did you raise your hand and come down, right? And so the deeper that we can, or the more pronounced that we can hold that remembrance, the easier it is to navigate this experience. You definitely stop becoming a victim. And there is this natural thing that happens with humans as they begin to remember who they are and what they're doing here, that nothing is an accident. There's these innate tools, these innate abilities that sort of come online or begin to be experienced. People like myself or other teachers may remind you, right? They'll say certain words or they'll explain certain things, and it'll activate like an aha moment. It will activate, oh my God, I remember, or yes, that's what I've been doing. There's nothing new that people are teaching. There's nothing that's like, oh my God, that is so profound. How did you know that? Everything is innately within every human body. It's in the cells, it's in the DNA, it's in the energy, it's in the frequency. It's all information encoded within you. So all we're doing essentially is remembering. All we're doing is peeling back the layers of trauma, the layers of programming, the layers of mind control that we have been sleeping under, and that's what we're doing. It's that simple. And many of us are doing it for the purpose of assisting the rest of humanity in remembering. But this is one big remembrance. If I were to sum up the human experience, it would be remembering. And that's why so many people call this, this is an illusion. And I think a lot of people use that term and they don't quite understand, like, because they too are still in the illusion, even though they're like, this is all an illusion. The deeper that you go inward, the easier it becomes to navigate all of the chaos, all of the up and down, the ins and the outs, the pummeling, right? The less attached you are to any of it. And that's truly what we are here to be in, to remember. There's nothing to change, there's nothing to shift, there's nothing to fix. It's learning how to be in it and move in it with a deep, 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 deep remembrance. I say this a lot, but if there's one thing that you could do throughout your day, one tool maybe, well, besides being the observer, right? One tool that you could use throughout your day that would truly, truly assist you in this would be remembering. Remembering what I'm doing on the planet, remembering what I'm doing on the planet, remembering what I'm doing on the planet. And that's not to say that you have like a specific thing that you're doing, right? Because a lot of you guys are going to say, well, I don't know what I'm doing on the planet. I don't know why I'm here. It's not about the specifics. Like, oh my God, I'm here to do ... That whole attachment has to be thrown out the window, because just you showing up every day, opening up your eyes and walking, putting one foot in front of the other is the work. That is the service to humanity. And so as you go about your day, if you can hold this remembrance, right, all day long in the back of your mind, just like a little part of you sitting here on your shoulder saying, I came here for this. I agreed to this. I came here for this. I agreed to this. I am remembering that I came here for this. It'll change your whole life. It'll change your perspective. It doesn't change what you're going through, right? It doesn't change what you may be in, the uncomfortable, the painful, the stress, the anxiety. But the more often you can pull up that you are literally in an experience, an experiment, a game, the easier it will be for you to go through it, right? So you'll start to become the observer even more. You'll start to move into flow even more. You'll start to step out of judgment more, judgment for yourself, right? It's huge. Oh, yeah, I came here for this. That's not a bypassing. That is just a simple recognition of absolute truth, right? And the master, the one that's here to stand in this human shit show that we're in, doesn't run from any of it. The master doesn't try to figure out how to get out of any of it. Like, oh, if I continue to tell myself that I'm remembering, then I won't feel pain. No, the master says, I'm remembering what I'm doing here. Show me the pain. I'm remembering what I'm doing here. Show me the heartache. Right? That's why you're here. You're not here to bypass. You're not here to try to sidestep. You're not here to not go through whatever it is you're going through right now. So the last week, last Untangled, I think I was sharing, I feel really out of it from the last Untangled. I don't know what I was doing. I can't remember, but I was so exhausted from just showing up the last couple of years that I had to unplug, like energetically just unplug the last, I don't know, 10 days. And in that unplugging, what I have been navigating is how who am I in the world, and how do I want to show up? How do I want to show up for humanity? How do I want to show up for myself? How do I want to show up in friendships and in relationships? Like how have I been showing up, and how do I want to show up? And I think that, like myself, if you're on autopilot all the time, it's a survival state, right? And we're really good at that. We can just go and go and go, and we can literally shut down the part of us that needs to rest. And for me, I didn't know how to rest, right? I didn't know how to stop. And I had these beliefs like, oh, if I stop, then dot 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 will happen. But it got to a place where I could barely show up. I couldn't serve. Um, And many times, what happens when we're not listening to our internal guidance is that the external will rattle us. We'll get into a car accident. We'll break our toe. Um, the airplane that we were in is delayed for 2 days. There's a storm and you can't go out. Like, there's things that will happen in the external world that will rattle you into what your internal world has been asking you to do, to be, to feel, to see. So nothing that is happening in your external world is not directly correlated and connected to your internal world. And your internal world is what's first going to arise for you to give you the indications, right? It's the intuitive gut, the intuitive hits, the knowingness, this that you need to slow down, or you need to leave this relationship. It's time to be a little bit nicer. It's time to take care of your body more. Like, whatever that is, you've probably been having it for sure all of 2022. Some of you guys got rattled, some of you didn't. Some of you got rattled and that rattling wasn't enough. And so you're still in those old patterns, you're still in those old beliefs, you're still in those old behaviors. But what I've been sitting with these last 10 days is the deep recognition that 2023 is the external world is going to mirror to you your internal world that you've been ignoring. So it's either going to show you what still needs to be seen, and it's going to do it in a much more dramatic way, bigger rattling, or it's going to show you what you have been intending and perhaps not quite believing that you deserve. So I call that miracles, magic, right? The things that you have been, what you would consider working really hard for, pushing really hard for, right? Intending, manifesting, these things are going to be reflected to you in the external world in 2023. And for a lot of us, it's going to feel like a miracle. It's going to feel like, holy shit, I can't believe it's actually here. I can't believe I actually have this job. I can't believe I'm actually living here. So there's two sides of this coin that's going to be really, really obvious to humanity. There's going to be a very big, a much bigger divide or split that we're going to start to see. And unfortunately or fortunately, we will continue to see this splitting of two worlds almost, right? This is just how the evolution unravels. And the reason for that is because there is a massive energetic transition happening between two very specific frequency states, ways of being in the world. And many people in the spiritual community will call this the 3D and the 5D. I don't care what you call it. Basically, what's happening is that there has been one way of sort of really experiencing this planetary field, this earth. And as humanity, each human begins to evolve, awaken, their bodies begin to hold more frequency, more light. They will start to pop out of what they have been in. Okay, so here's the earth, and here's all the humans. And as the human begins to awaken into deeper states of being, okay, so they start to pull themselves out of programming, deep conditioning, trauma, etc., by feeling, by seeing, by observing, right? By looking at what's happening in the external world, it's going to pop the humans out of the way that they've been in. And when they pop out, right, they sort of start to see down at what they've been in. You're like, holy shit. And then you start to realize all these humans that are still here, right? There's no difference. You're not better than or less than, because you're still in this, okay? But you start to sort of separate yourself. You start to pull yourself. There starts to feel like there's this separation between the you that was in this world and the you that's in something new, but you can't quite grab it. Okay. This is what we're going to see in 2023 more and more. You're going to start to realize, holy shit, these humans that you're looking at now, friends and family, they're in what you were in, right? They're going through what you were going through. Or you're going to find yourself pulled back into what you've been in for so long, but it's going to be so obvious. This back and forth is going to be so obvious. So there's this separation or divide is not to perpetuate a divide. It's simply two distinct expressions of frequency or dimensional field, not to get too quantum, but two distinct sort of ways of being. And each distinct way has all these different textures to it, all these ways of showing up in the world. But in 2023, the key to evolution, the key to what we're doing here is that all the ways in which we've been living on the planet for hundreds and thousands of years has to shift, has to evolve. So the humans have to pop out and begin living in new ways. They don't pop out of the earth. They still stand on the earth, but on an energetic level, they pop. They pop out and they start to see differently. They start to realize, right? If you're not following the intuitive calls that are popping you out all the time, right, which would be your limiting thoughts, it's going to pop you out, right? Your limiting beliefs that you're not worthy, you don't deserve unconditional love. You think you have to look a certain way in order to show up. You don't think that you deserve to speak your truth. It's very difficult for you to hold firm boundaries. You actually say no when you want to say yes. You say yes when you want to say no. You're still in really codependent relationships. There's still some deep sexual abuse that comes up when you're intimate, right? These are all ways of your body popping you out of the old. Oh, look at that limiting belief. Oh, look at how you're continuing to say yes when you really want to say no. Oh, look at you still don't hold firm boundaries. Oh, look, you're still in a codependent relationship. It's just these poppings, right? And the more that you can recognize what's happening, oh my God, I'm popping out so that I can see what I'm in. And you have that compassion for yourself. You have the remembrance of what you're doing. This is evolution. You don't go anywhere. You don't bypass anything. You're simply just popping out of one lens, one awareness into another. And then you begin to start playing in this back and forth. And if you're listening to these intuitive hits that you're giving yourself, look at your unworthiness. Oh, here comes unworthiness again. Let me just watch it. Oh, here comes insecurity. Okay. Oh, look at, I'm still in these relationships. Oh, look at what happens when I have a lot of fear, right? The more you start realizing, oh, I'm being popped out so that I can see it. I'm being popped out so I can see it. The more you do that, the more you're going to have compassion for yourself, because you're going to remember what's actually going on. So you'll have compassion. You'll be the observer, because you're remembering that you're being popped out every single time. Every single time you're aware of a limiting belief, you're being popped out of the old. So if you've been popping out of a limiting belief about unworthiness, or a limiting belief about lack of, you're not going to be able to make money, whatever that is, that's just you continuing to pop out and pop out and pop out. You're getting used to popping out, and eventually you're gonna stay. You're gonna stay in the new way, right? You're gonna stay in these new states of being, right? And you're gonna anchor it. And then you're going to look back and be like, oh my gosh, I remember when I was living in that state, when I was living in fear, when I was making choices based on fear, when I was really restricted in my body. But it could take 723 pop outs before the last one moves you into the state where you're no longer popping back and forth. 2023, thank you, Jenna, for the super chat. 2023 is going to rattle many humans into that popped out state where they're finally in these new ways of being. So they don't have to go back 762 times, because humanity doesn't have time. We need to be able to start standing in these new ways of being: presence, abundance, sovereignty, flow, compassion, empathy, surrender, action, love. We have to start to step into these and actually not keep going back and forth. So what's 2023 going to do for those of us that are still doing this back and forth? It's going to literally catapult us into this new state in some dramatic way. Big time. So it's good and bad. It's good because a lot of humans are not going to be able to go back. They're going to be standing in new frequencies. They're going to be being in new frequencies and in new vibrations. They're going to be being in new states, new ways of being. It's going to, what we've had a couple of years for it to be natural, right? Just naturally do this. And now it's like, we got to get going. We got some shit coming up in 2025 that's going to be not good. 2025 is going to be another year of 2020. It's going to be insane. So we got to prepare, right? We got to prepare for this. And the preparation begins internally. And the preparation is being able to pull ourselves out of the old ways that we have been in that are not going to be able to assist us when bigger things hit the fan. Now, for those of us that have been going back and forth, right, with limiting beliefs or ways, it could be simple ways that you've been showing up, right, where you've been holding more love or you've been holding more compassion. It doesn't have to be these dramatic, healing things that happen. It can be something very subtle, right? Just an awareness over and over again of how you say certain things to yourself or how you treat your partner, whatever it is. But if you've been doing that and you're noticing yourself grounding deeper and deeper into this new way of being, right? These new states of awareness, new states of beingness. 2023 is going to reflect. It's almost like it's going to gift you with a gift for being able to keep going. You've been doing all this work. Here you go. You're going to say, holy shit, really? I'm going to get that now? Yeah, look at all the work, quote unquote, work you've done. It's like the universe is going to provide what you have almost not believed is going to come for you. That's the magic and power of 2023. That's the miracle. While simultaneously, people around you are going to be rattled to their core. Maybe their house is going to burn down. Maybe there's going to be a flooding. Maybe somebody in their life is going to get really hurt. Maybe they're going to get hurt. Maybe there's going to be some sickness that's going to happen. I don't know, but there's going to be massive catapulting for humanity. Simultaneously, there are going to be many humans that are going to be living in ways they never have. The divide of what we have been beginning to kind of see is going to become more apparent. And the key to this sort of visceral energetic divide is recognizing that we're not divided, right? That there is no separation. That it is all kind of one planetary experience based on your choice. That's it. It's so key that we don't separate and say, I'm better than, you're less than, right? I'm more evolved, you're less evolved. I'm doing this, you're not. Like and I think that when you start moving, I don't think I know, when you start moving into these new ways of being, which all of you are starting to do, you won't have that mentality. And you'll look around and see people on social media kind of like berating or calling people out. And it's like, that just doesn't fit. That doesn't make sense. When you start evolving into higher states of consciousness, you stop creating, I'm better than you. You stop creating what looks like a very visceral divide. The other thing that's going to start to happen, that's happening for me, and this is going to start to happen for a lot of us, is that there are these uncomfortable growth spurts that we're going to feel, or that we are feeling, that are going to pull us out of the comfortable. And when we start getting pulled out of the comfortable, I want you to imagine the comfortable being what you've lived in most of your life, right? The comfortable limiting beliefs, the comfortable behaviors, the comfortable whatever it is. The comfortable patterns in friendships or in partnerships, the way you've been working, right? For me, it's my work. What's going to happen is that you're going to there's going to be an internal calling to change or to move out of what has been so comfortable. The difficulty about that is that you don't necessarily know where you're going or what you're stepping into. Many of you have kind of been in this, right? But it's going to get more pronounced. And it's difficult. I think this can be one of the most difficult things when there isn't a guidebook for you to look at, when there isn't a path that you can see super clear, right? It's like, okay, you're going to go here, and then you're going to go here, and then you're going to go here. Then you're going to turn left. And when you don't have that, which that is what starts to happen when you surrender into something bigger than just the egoic structure leading you. Right? The more that I let go of trying to control what I think is the highest outcome, the more I step into my highest outcome, but it is extremely uncomfortable because there's not much to grab. There really isn't much to grab. And it's in that state of not grabbing. And grabbing means trying to create something, trying to make it make sense, trying to hold a really firm plan. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, right? I believe that where humanity is going, and one of the things that I'm starting to feel, which is extremely unnerving, like very uncomfortable, is stepping deeper into what I would call the quantum field, the quantum space, which is that I, Lori, the ego, the structure, the personality that likes to know what's coming, that likes to know she's in control, that likes to know that if she does this, then this is going to happen, that aspect is being quieted. And many of you know that I've been living, one of the things that I've been practicing that intently in 2022 is that everything is happening for me, by me. That has literally changed my life. You know, everything is happening for me, by me. And even today, even on Oahu, even realizing that I'm going to this other island tomorrow, like everything I'm being asked to look at and say, this is happening. Thank you so much for the super chat. This is happening, Natalia. I appreciate that. This is happening for me, by me. There are no mistakes. And for me, I have always, one of the things that I'm being asked to step into is the belief that I have to be alone to do all my work, the belief that I have to be at home to do my work, meaning just in order to produce the highest work, right? I have to, in order to be most aligned, I have to be at home. I have to be alone. I'm not going to have a partner. I'm not going to be able to be around other people, blah, blah, blah. And this trip has really had me look at that and say, this is a growth spurt for you, Lori. This is a moment for you to, it's so uncomfortable when you're in a massive growth spurt. It's so uncomfortable. And if you're really intuitive and feel a lot, you're gonna question that uncomfortable growth spurt. For me, I immediately wanted to go back home. Okay, so what happened was a friend of mine that's here visiting with me, we have an opportunity to go to another island starting tomorrow for about 10 days. And I've already been gone from my house for 10 days. So I initially was like, yes, let's go. It's going to be incredible. This island's going to be insane. We're going to Molokai. And then all of a sudden, the next day, I had a panic attack. And these old ways of being started to come in. Lori, you got to go home. Lori, you got to go back to what's familiar. You can't keep going. You can't keep hanging out with this person. You're going to lose focus. You're not going to be able to produce. All these things started like coming in. And I noticed that it was an old version of me. What does that mean? It's an old version of me. It's a version of me that I have been in for 5 years. Feels very comfortable. I'm very familiar with that Lori. That Lori has driven the bus for 5 years. Thank you, Kelly, for the super chat. Right? Like, oh, here she comes. It's very familiar. It's so familiar that it almost feels right. Okay? It almost feels right. But then I say to myself, wait a second. First of all, you guys, you have to start to remember that we are in new times. We are in new energies. Everything is happening for your highest good. Everything is happening to evolve you into new ways of being. Everything. And everything is being shown to you, for you, by you. And it's going to be rattling. And rattling doesn't feel good. And just because something doesn't feel good doesn't mean it's not for your highest potential. There's going to be massive stretching in ways that we haven't experienced before because we are being catapulted into miracles. When you are catapulted into miracles, you have to literally be like thrown off a cliff, and you have to let go of what is comfortable and familiar. Eric, thanks for the dollar, my friend. Good to see you here. You have to jump, okay, and let go of the familiar, of the comfortable. So I'm sitting there a couple days ago, and I'm like it is what the higher self is for, but it can be very difficult to distinguish. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, am I going home? Am I going to keep going to this other island with this friend of mine? Like, what am I doing? What feels right? I couldn't distinguish what felt right. What I knew was that this version of me that wanted me to go home was what I'll just use the term older version. Okay. It felt older, meaning I've done it over and over and over again. And then I remember, wait a second, Lori, you are here right now because you are intending to step into new ways of being in your life, right? You want to bring a partner into your life. Do you think that you're going to run home every time you hang out with somebody? You're going to just be like, I'm out, peace. I'm going to run home now. No, Lori's got to put on her big girl pants and figure this out, right? You realize, Lori, that if you're going to step into deeper work, you want to do new things, you want to travel the world and speak, you're not going to be able to just run home when you're feeling a little bit, like pushed or a new opportunity comes up. So I knew, and I'm sharing this in case this is going to happen to you guys or it is happening. I knew there's an intention I'm setting. I want to show up in new ways in my work. I want my partner to come in. Those are the two things, right? I want my partner to come in, and I want to show up in new ways in my work. I want to do things differently. I want to speak live and live. I don't want to just be at home doing videos and online things. Okay. So all of a sudden this opportunity comes in, and there were two intentions that I had. Thank you, Tracy, for the super chat. Two intentions I had. Intentions are so powerful in terms of why are you going to a place? Why are you choosing to hang out? Why are you choosing to go to dinner? Like why are you choosing to do anything? What's the intention behind it? My intention for coming to this island was to unplug completely and then to realign myself with new ways that I want to show up for my work. So as I was contemplating, like, am I going to go home? Am I going to run home like I always do and go back to my comfortable, familiar, freezing cold, same old, right? Or am I going to jump into something that's going to potentially catapult me into something new? Well, I realized as I was going back and forth, like, I really don't know what the freak I'm supposed to do. I couldn't grab it. I realized that my two intentions, only one of the intentions had been fulfilled. And that intention was unplugging. I was like, oh, I've been unplugging. Now, remember, I live all the day, 24/7. Everything is happening for me and by me. Everything is happening for me, by me. Everything. So I know that an opportunity to go to another island for 10 days, a very quiet island that has nothing, is not a mistake. It's not just a, oh, that's kind of cool, but I can't go. Everything is happening for me, by me. Why is this coming up? Let me look at this, an opportunity. I realized my second intention I hadn't done yet, which was to deeply integrate into how I want to show up in this year, how I want to show up with all of you, how I want to show up in my work, because my service to humanity is the number one most important thing in my life. I'll sacrifice everything for my work, everything. And so that I hadn't done that second part of my intention. And so what I did for all day 2 days ago on the 31st is I just sat with what was arising. I sat with the back and forth. I sat with the feelings of going home. I sat with going into Molokai. I sat with all of it. I sat with why I don't want to go home, why I just was in it, right? And I explored the energies, I explored the emotions, I explored the thoughts, I explored the feelings. I talked to people about it. I talked to my friend, I talked to my mom, and I realized that what I have been, this is really important, you guys, what I had been asking for, what you have been asking for is going to present itself, and it's going to present itself perhaps in a very crunchy, uncomfortable way. It's not like all of a sudden let's just say that you've been intending for quite some time a job where you feel really at peace and there's no stress, right? And all of a sudden something's going to be presented to you that's going to really stretch you out of that uncomfortable or out of the comfortable. You might not like what you've been doing, but it's comfortable. Going to the same job, dealing with the same stress. And all of a sudden, something's going to pop in. It's going to give you an opportunity. Okay. And it's going to feel crunchy. And that crunchy feeling that I talk about is, can I trust this? Is this right? How do I know? Right? The teetering back and forth. It's not like these shifts that we make are all of a sudden going to be like, ta-da, here's your new job. The pearly gates of heaven are open. Thank you so much, Eureka for the super chat. It's not like all of a sudden the partner's going to come in. It's going to be like, ta-da, there's your beautiful partner. Walk right in, hold hands, and off you go. Like, everything is now like it's like it's going to be dramatic. It's going to be like, let go and jump in. Does that make sense? And it's like, but I don't know how to let go, but you've been asking for this. But I want it to feel comfortable. It's not going to feel comfortable. Can you let go so that you can step into what you have been asking for, but you have the idea of how you want it to look? You have the idea of how. I had no idea that this other island was going to be presented to me, and that I would have a place to stay, and that that would be I didn't know that, right? And so when it was presented, it was, like, I didn't immediately go to, oh my God, this is where I'm going to go to do the second part of my intention. It was like, oh, fuck, I'm going to have to hang out for 10 more days with this person. Am I going to get along? Are they going to drive me crazy? Am I going to have my space? Like, I like to be alone. Am I going to be able to do my work? Is it going to distract me? Like, all kinds of stuff went through my mind, through my head. I should just go home. I'm way more comfortable at home. And it was like, Lori, pay attention to all of this. Everything is happening to you, for you, by you. Lori, pay attention to this. How crunchy does this feel? What have you been intending? Are you aware of what you have been intending? And are you holding the belief that it's going to be easy to jump into that? Just be aware of that, because I can promise you that we have had this idea that what we have been intending, we're just going to fly right into it. Like, it's just going to be so easy. 2023 is going to give you miracles, but it's going to give you miracles based on the courage to jump. It's going to give you miracles based on letting go of your expectation of how you think it's supposed to look, how you think it's supposed to be, how you think it's supposed to go. This is when you start stepping into and being in a quantum field, which is what all of us are practicing, whether you realize it or not, you're stepping into more of a quantum field, which means that there is no control. There is a flow and a movement. Everything is serving you in the quantum field. Everything is available in the quantum field, right? And everything is showing up for you externally based on what you are internally creating within you. So if you're looking out at the external world saying, well, that's a mistake, there are no mistakes. Well, it's not supposed to feel like that. There are no mistakes. This is exactly what it's supposed to feel like. This separation between the old way and the new way is going to feel very, very pronounced. And that deep, deep pronounced feeling is going to make you question or doubt the movement into new. Right? It's going to say, you're going to say, wait a second, hold on. It's going to be so unconscious almost. Like, hold on a second. I just looked at a comment, got distracted. This is going to happen to all of us. Nobody's arrived. None of y'all have arrived anywhere. There are so many miracles coming for you. There are so many ways that you and I are still being in old, comfortable patterning. The only way to step into the magic and the miracles that are waiting for us, that we either know or don't know are available in the coming years, is to let go every single time we want to go back and grab the old familiar patterns. And we'll convince ourselves, because I was trying to convince myself, right, to go back. And it's like, Lori, what have you been intending? New ways of being in my life. Why the fuck would you go back home to the old ways? You're going to go back to the old pattern. You're going to go back to the old things that you've been doing. You're going to go back. Something is presenting an opportunity for you to do it differently, right? These shifts are you doing it differently. And doing it differently feels crunchy. If you have the idea that your evolution, that your shifting, that your intentions, that your manifestations are going to be easy, breezy, cover girl, 2023 is going to shock the shit out of you. It's not going to be easy, breezy, cover girl. It's going to be, holy shit, this is the leap. Right? This is the jump. This is the letting go. It's going to feel so obvious because you're going to want to grab the familiar. You're going to want to grab the old. And then you're going to go back and forth. And there's no right or wrong way, right? I was talking to a friend of mine the other day and I was like, what am I going to do? What do I do? What do I do? And he's like, girl, there's no decision is the wrong decision. You go home, you go home, you go to the other island, you go to the other island. It's all good. But he said something so profound. It was something around what is the stretching or the expansion is in that uncomfortable. The expansion, the evolution, the shifting is in the uncomfortable. It's when you do things differently. It's when you choose differently, which is a new patterning. Right? And for a lot of us, I don't know if you've been in this boat, but for a lot of us, we have been manifesting or intending for a while. Right? Like we're creating, and nothing's been happening. It's like been a pause. 2023, the pause has been lifted. Promise you. This year, there's no pause. This year, it's go. It's like the rubber band has been pulled back and we're being let go and it's go time. Right? And so you're going to start seeing these old patterns. You're going to start being given new ways of shifting out of those old patterns, and you're going to doubt it. You're going to question it. You're going to not trust it. If there is anything you get from this Untangled episode, it's that what is coming in 2023 in order to move you into miracles could very easily feel uncomfortable. let that be okay, right? Pay acute attention to when you are grabbing the comfortable and when you're trying to make sense of the comfortable. And there's nothing wrong with going back to the comfortable. But if you are creating new in your life, if you're bringing in new, let go of the expectation of what you think it's going to look like, how you're going to get there. You know, one of the things that I've noticed in my life the last couple of years is that everything that has come into my life has been unexpected. So there's this intention behind what I have been intending that actually does come into fruition, but it's not in the way that I imagined it to be. Nothing that has ever like blown my mind has come in the way that I thought it would. Pay acute attention to how you think things are going to go, and then let go. You know, this is a catapulting into new ways of experiencing our lives in very different ways that you can imagine, like 2019, 20, 21, 22 being very slow, like molasses in a way. Okay. Slowing down, stopping, being in pause, bored, twiddling your thumbs. Is anything going to change? Groundhog's Day for a lot of us. Okay. Not everybody. We're all on different frequencies, but for a lot of us, that's sort of the collective sort of vibe. And pay attention to what's going to happen as we step into this 23 year. Um, let the crunchy be the magic. Let the uncomfortable choices be the magic. You know, hold this, that everything is happening to me, for me, by me. Everything is happening to me, for me, by me. There are no mistakes. There are no mistakes. There are no mistakes. Everything is happening to me, for me, by me. It's not just like, oh, I just got this invitation. That's weird. And then you take it like a grain of salt. No. This is being presented to you. This person's being presented to you. This opportunity is being presented to you. Right? And then watch the miracles come. Watch the magic unravel in this year. And watch how much compassion you're going to have for other humans. You're going to start to hold so much more compassion. You know, sometimes compassion is bred through our own suffering, right? And so what happens is that the more that we suffer and are forced to start holding compassion for ourselves, it's easier for us to have compassion for other humans. If you don't suffer a lot, you don't go through a lot of adversity, it can be difficult at times to have compassion for humanity. It's a strange thing to think about, but it's true. You imagine that when we have really horrific things happen on the planet, like if you're in a town and the town floods and everybody's going through the same thing, what happens? Your heart opens for your neighbor all of a sudden, a neighbor that you may have never actually talked to. But it's the actual suffering, being in suffering together, being in fear together, being in catastrophic events together that opens your heart. Why is that? Why do we open our hearts and have compassion when these horrific events happen? It brings us together. That's very strange, very inverted, very backwards. But that's how the human condition is right now. So the more that we are catapulted into our own suffering, right, and struggle, the more our hearts are breaking open so that we can start having more compassion for ourselves, so that we can start having more compassion for humanity. And that essentially is what is absolutely necessary in the coming years. Compassion over judgment. You know, compassion and empathy over lashing out, divide, conquering. So anywho, that's the message for us, you guys. You know, don't let the familiar stop you from experiencing the magic. The planet, I should say the planet is fine. The human collective on the planet, it's if you're concerned about how obnoxious it is out there, if you're concerned about how chaotic it is, if you're upset by everything that's happening, then you are still denying, fighting, and resisting the battle that's going on within yourself. And that's what needs to be looked at first. If you're continuing to fight this external system in a way that is combative, aggressive, restrictive, stressful, anxious, I don't want to be here. This world sucks, right? There's so much evil. I can't even believe this. I don't even want to open my eyes. That's all great awareness, fabulous awareness to have that. But if you're living in that, you're actually being redirected inward so that you can unravel what it is in here that you refuse to look at. Because what eventually will start to happen, and absolutely necessarily, absolutely needs to happen, is that you are, because you have done so much inner work, you've been able to sit with the parts of you that you can't stand. You've handed the microphone over to the most obnoxious parts of yourself. You didn't shut her down or shut him down. You didn't ignore him or her. You didn't silence him or her. Oh, there's a part of you that wants to belittle yourself. Here's the microphone. Please get louder. You are welcome here. You are welcome. Oh, there's a part of me that doesn't believe that I can have unconditional love in a relationship and that I have to be, emotionally abused in some way. Here's the microphone. Can you tell me more? Please sit down at the table with this other part of me. We're all invited here. You guys can all have a microphone and be as loud as you want. I'm not going to run from you. I'm not going to hide from you. And I sure the fuck am not going to try to change you. Any parts of me that arise, I literally am like, here's the microphone. I'd love to hear more. I will not run from you. I will not ignore you. I will not try to push you down, and I will not try to heal you. I will invite you in. I will invite you in and let you get so loud that I'm no longer afraid of you and that I'm not trying to change you or fix you. I know that you are just here, part of my human experience. You are not me. You sure do like to get loud, and I'm no longer afraid of what is arising within me. And when I'm not afraid of what's arising within me, because I know that it's all just experiences and parts of me that I believe I am, and there's nowhere to run and nothing to change or fix, I am a badass. I am a powerhouse. I can stand in anything that arises within me. What else do you got, Lori? What else is in there? Oh, look at that. And when you can do that without having this desire or need to fix or change or heal, the healing, the shifting happens when you just hand the microphone over to all the aspects of you that are so freaking loud that you want to mute them. Don't mute them. Give them a microphone and let them stand on stage. Put them in a pretty costume and say, keep going. I'd love to hear more. What else do you think about me? Holy shit, really? Wow. Wow, you think that your body needs to look like this, this, this. Wow, you think you can only be loved because of this, this, this. Wow, you think, okay, keep going. Wow. Fascinating. Then another voice is going to come in and say, yeah, but you realize ... And you're gonna be like, oh yeah, here, microphone, here's another one. We got all kinds of microphones. I got a whole box of microphones for all the different aspects of me that want to show up. Please get real fucking loud. Then you can stand out in the world and you're not bitching and moaning and complaining about the crazy, chaotic, evil, destructive shadow world that we live in. Because you are capable of standing in your own shadow and not running. You can now stand in the collective shadow and you won't run. You're now going to stand in the collective shadow and say, oh, government, get a little louder. Oh, you want me to do this real ID thing? Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that. Thank you. Oh, you want me to do this? Okay, that's interesting. Get a little bit louder over there. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, there's taxes that are completely corrupt. Holy shit. Oh my God. They're killing people for speaking truth. Wow. Okay. Oh shit. There's human trafficking that's happening. What the fuck? You start feeling everything. You start observing everything. You start standing up for what you want to stand up for. You start holding firmer boundaries for the things that you want to hold firmer boundaries with. But you are not at a fight against. I am not fighting against the parts of me that want to show up. I'm not fighting against the corruption. I'm standing in it and choosing how I want to be in it. I'm letting it get loud. The louder it gets out there, the easier it is for humanity to change. The louder that voice gets inside of you, the easier it is for you to choose to no longer believe it. Get louder. Turn up the volume. We think we have to do the opposite. I've got to sit in meditation, quiet my thoughts, and do something with them. I say the opposite. Sit quietly and turn your thoughts on so loud that there's nowhere to go, but simply observing everything. You can't hide from the outside world and all the shit that's going to unravel. You can sit here and say, this sucks. This is unfair. I don't want to be in this. The world sucks. The world's evil. The world's dark. Okay. And yes, it is. That's correct. Now, what are you going to do? Keep doing that? Or are you going to master this human experience by continuing to go inward more and more and more? Dive deeper, continue to dive deeper, keep going, keep going, keep going, so that nothing scares you. So that you don't care what unravels next, internally or externally, you're here for it. You're still going to have all your emotions around it. It's horrific to watch what's happening with, like, the vaccine injuries and, the mind control, the corrupt. And there's so many things that we could pinpoint and talk about. There's so many subjects we could talk about. There's so much evil unraveling on the planet. You're not going to be able to run from it. Just like you can't run from your own trauma. You can't run from the darkest parts of you that need to be seen, held, and given a microphone. It's the same thing with the external world. We have to shift our focus. What kind of energies are you holding when it comes to how you're dealing with what's unraveling out there? Right? It's a simultaneous internal, external unraveling. Can't do one without the other. I've spoken about this before, right? You can't just fight against the external and make the wrongs right in the external without going inward, because you will continue to perpetuate the external that you think that you are shifting out of. You have to do the internal work. And the next 2 years is going to be so magical for so many of us. Because we deserve it, first of all. So it's kind of like, all right, you guys, good job. Here's some gifts. That's how I feel 2023 has the potential of being. It's like, all right, here you go. But you have to be the one that chooses to step out of whatever that is. You have to be the one that chooses to step out of the comfortable. You have to be the one that jumps off the ledge. No, I think the real ID is all over the United States. I do think they're letting you still have a passport for a while. So that's good. But it's definitely just pay attention, you guys, to what's unraveling and how you're feeling about it. That's truly the key. How are you being in it? How are you feeling? How are you responding? Yeah, so I'm going to another island and I'm going to step into what I'm intending and, see what unravels. It's really interesting. It's very, very interesting. Whatever you're creating, intending, and manifesting is going to present itself. And it's going to present itself perhaps by challenging the ways in which you have been holding back and remaining in the old. You know, stay open, stay receptive. Everything is happening to me, for me, by me. Just keep saying that. It's not necessarily going, your shifts, your intentions, your manifestations presenting is not necessarily going to be a walk in the park. If you are waiting for it to be easy breezy cover girl, you may be waiting for a while. There is no waiting on this. It's going to be presented to you so quickly. The key is to look at whatever is presenting itself. Do I have the knee-jerk reaction to go back to the comfortable? Or do I have the courage to recognize I'm being pulled back to the comfortable because it's comfortable and there's an intention that I have created that is pulling me forward? Does this make sense? Molokai is a place where the veil is very thin. Yeah, Marianne, it's so crazy. I had no intention of going to Molokai. A friend of mine offered me her house. That's where I'm staying right now on Oahu. She's coming back today and she was like, hey, do you want to go to Molokai? I have a place in Molokai. And I was like, I don't know. And my friend's like, oh my God, we should go. It's super peaceful, this and that. And I was like, my patterning is to go home. Like, I've been hanging out with you for a really long time. I need some space, blah, blah, blah. And it just hit me. It was like, why this is presenting itself, Lori. No mistakes. Say yes. Say yes. Say yes. Say yes. This is the time where we have to, this is a deeper surrendering. This is where surrendered action is really going to take place in 2023. Surrendered action. Surrendered action is, for me, I want to go home because it's more comfortable. I feel more relaxed in that state because it's an old, comfortable, familiar feeling. But if I surrender to what is showing up, that surrendering is going to feel like I'm out of control because I don't know what it's going to be like or look like when I keep going. We're going to this island, hanging out with this person, blah, 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 right? So I don't know what that's going to look like. So I'm surrendering into what is showing up. I'm allowing it to move me while I'm also paying attention to how I want to go back home. And then the action is I'm going to say yes. That's surrendered action. I'm surrendering. I'm letting go of trying to control things. I'm looking at what is presenting itself to me. Everything is happening to me, for me, by me. I'm surrendered into this. The control would be, I don't like this. I'm going to go home. It feels more comfortable. I'm going to move myself into more restrictive state, right? The surrender is, this is happening. Where is this asking me to go? What is this asking of me? And then the action is take action. Say yes, say no, but take the action. And you're not taking action from a controlled state of how you want things to go, right? You're taking action from a surrendered state of receptivity. Wow, this is what's unraveling right now. Wow, this is what's showing up. Got it? The comfortable has been experiencing discomfort all the time. It will be uncomfortable to be more comfortable. 1,000%. 1,000%. All right, you guys, another hour has gone by. I really hope that this was helpful in some way, shape, or form. If it was, hit the like button or subscribe to my channel, or pass this video on to somebody that you think may need to hear this message today, tomorrow, the next day. Come back to this message as often as you need to remember what we're stepping into in 2023. Yeah, this is going to be a year like we've never experienced before. 1,000 billion%. It's got a lot of magic and a lot of miracles, and it's not going to be easy breezy cover girl, right? So allow it to not be. And I will see you next Tuesday, 9 a.m. California time for Untangled episode 33. And oh, it reminds me of Jesus. I want to share this really funny story. So just because 33 always reminds me of Jesus. I'm not religious, but I freaking love Jesus. Okay, so I was playing Yahtzee last night. One last thing before we go. I was playing Yahtzee with my friend, and I was just in the flow state. I was like, God, universe is just going to show me whatever roll needs to happen, whatever the dice need to do. And I was trying to get Yahtzee. I had 4 5s. I said, okay, geez, if Jesus walked the land, then give me a 5. And I rolled, and it was a 5. I literally was like, what the fuck? Of course. I was like, if Jesus walked the land, then give me a 5. 5. Magic. Welcome to the year of 2023. I believe in magic. Believe in the unbelievable. You know, let it shift you, let it change you. And for those of you that are not aware, I do have an online community, a Patreon online community called Evolve. I show up 5 times a month live. And if you'd like to join our online Patreon community, it's amazing. It's fun. It's activating. There's all kinds of amazing people all over the world. The link is down below. Our next live event is January 6th. And we are doing a couple of free 30-minute mini sessions. So I'm offering a couple of free 30-minute sessions with people. And we do those sessions live on screen. So it's really fun. And the messages that come through are always for all of us. Very, very powerful. All right. Love you guys. Be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with others. Have more compassion for yourself. And yeah, I'll see you next Tuesday for Untangled episode 33. I love you. Mwah.